think, inexorable response of the United States, along with the Republic of Korea, Japan, and other allies like Australia, will be to deploy forward more defensive assets that, as we know from the THAAD deployment experience, China considers to be threatening to its own national security interests. There's no way around that, given geography and given the magnitude of the North Korean threat. So the closer that the United States, Japan, and the Republic of Korea are working together as security partners, as allies, the stronger the bulwark of defense by major democracies, by the industrial West in Northeast Asia, the more the Chinese are likely to worry. And if that's not a motivation for them to finally yank the leash on Kim Jong-un, then they'll have to endure the consequences. Well, I think President Yoon learned a great deal from the failed 5-year experiment of the Moon Jae-in administration that had unrealistic hopes for Chinese help in pushing for inter-Korean reconciliation. And the net effect of the Moon strategy, I believe, was that it gave China leverage over South Korea. I think this was really a setback to the Republic of Korea's strategic interests. Now, it seems to me like the Yoon government is determined to deal with China from a position of strength, a position of dignity, not as a supplicant, because they learned that you can't coax China into fulfilling its responsibilities, particularly if you're giving China an opening to exercise leverage. And I think also that the Yoon government has shown that they recognize that security is a combination of national security and economic security, not two different things, so that Korea's ability to put its economic relationship with China on a solid footing actually requires that Beijing understands that Seoul cannot be bullied.
Well, again, I think that what we're seeing here is another strategic mistake by the Chinese. The idea of operating jointly with the Russians in the areas of the Korean air defense identification zone is simply ridiculous. They are not going to be partners in some sort of action within the region. It's a bluff by the Chinese and by the Russians. They're trying to show strength where there isn't strength. And so I think we don't need to take too seriously these kinds of demonstrations by the Chinese Air Force and the Russian Air Force. Obviously, they're trying to send signals. In some ways, they're trying to bully the South Koreans, bully the Japanese by these kinds of efforts, and we should push back against them.